It's finally Grandmaster season again after a few grueling weeks without them, and with that comes the need for damage, survivability, and champion destruction, and all that points towards the need for new builds. But not just a copy-paste of the meta builds that have been filling your feeds, something with a fun twist today. And that's exactly what we're looking at today with our Titan build, with a very simple, easy build involving an exotic that got a huge glow up, a few aspects, and an exotic armor piece so goofy it'll have you questioning my credibility immediately. Destiny builds really are at their best when they're simple, easy, and absolutely dish out damage. And that's exactly what we've got with this build, which I'm calling PsychoStorm. Also doubles as a good name for family reunions. With the help of just a few weapons, abilities, and artifact synergy, we're able to output obscene amounts of damage very quickly for a very low ammo cost, all thanks to everyone's new favorite mechanic, bolt charge. Yeah, I know, big surprise, right? That right there is the whole drive of the build. Build as much bolt charge as quickly as possible so we can bully high health targets, champions, and even bosses. I've made build videos with multiple goals and really well thought through in every little facet, but today, no, bolt charge is literally it. I'll try it and keep today simple and to the point, and if you like that kind of video and want to support the channel, the easiest way you can do that is subscribe and leave a like. Always appreciated. Alright, so there's two main goals I want to hit on here. First, building bolt charge, and then second, high damage output. These two definitely work hand in hand, but I wanted to divide these ideas up neatly so we can see how each part of the build functions before we kind of merge these 2 points together. For establishing bolt charge, we'll cover some of the artifact mods you'll need, subclass choices, and your exotic armor. And then for your damage, which bleeds into point 1 a little bit, we'll talk about your exotic and special weapons and the rest of the artifact mods you'll want to equip. Bolt charge is really cool because it's very momentum based in a way. The more damage you deal, the more damage you're going to deal. Alright, so for building bolt charge, bear with me a second, there's going to be more nuance shortly, but I want to start at the base level. Everyone and their grandma knows at this point that you'll be using dedicated Arc Titan with Rally Barricade. That is the easiest way to build bolt charge. Rally Barricade regenerates extremely quickly, and of course you can stand behind it and expel bolt charge as you fire since you're using Storm's Key. Kind of blows my mind Bungie made it this easy to just rattle off bolt charges this much. Just a couple weeks of GM so far and it already kind of feels like easy mode. Bungie initially compared bolt charge to ignitions, but man, they are just not in the same tier list. Bolt charge is that good.
You're weak. I'm you.
Rally Barricades also grant a ton of range, stability, reload buffs, and they're already really nice, but now with Storm's Keep, they'll also grant 5 stacks of bolt charge on cast and a continuously building charge just for standing behind it. Barricades also received increased damage resistance to splash damage with the drop of Heresy as well, so you're not going to be getting dogged as much by Boomer Knights and stuff like that, as much as you were before anyways. Overall, Barricades are just in a great spot right now, even acting as a taunt for drawing enemy fire, and since there are catalysts to build bolt charge and many other benefits, we'll be building into ways to regenerate Barricade quickly. First way to do that, really simple. I don't even need to say this for Titan mains anyways, but you should be running 100 resilience for maximum Barricade recharge speed. Besides the Barricade regen, having 100 resilience is just super helpful in high-end PvE content anyways, just makes a huge difference. 100 resilience almost grants your Barricade back by the time your first one has expired, but enemies can break it, and sometimes it's nice to reposition yourself, but if you need even faster cooldowns, you could try ability Kickstart so that casting your Barricade will consume armor charge, but then return some of that class ability back. That's a pretty consistent way to return some energy. Otherwise, there's also Distribution, which returns a modicum of energy if you cast near enemies, or Insulation, which grants class ability energy on orb pickup. If you go this route, I'd recommend Powerful Attraction, so casting your Barricade just automatically picks up nearby orbs. And to that end, you can create additional orbs using the Reaper mod, as well as some Kinetic and Arc Siphon mods on your class item and helmet respectively. Other than that, unless I'm missing something terribly obvious, which is definitely possible, there aren't additional ways to spur more Barricade energy from our subclass, artifact, or armor mods. Now that Barricade is out of the way, there are a few ways to generate bolt charge outside of that. Sustained weapon damage once you have some bolt charge will contribute, but we'll discuss that once we kind of merge the bolt charge and damage points together. The artifact does have one mod right in the last column on the 4th row with Defibrillating Blast. Defibrillating Blast will grant full bolt charge stacks after stunning a champion, which is a really handy way to just jumpstart the process. It also heals you, which is kind of wild and really helpful in those situations where you barely get the stun off before almost getting murdered by that unstoppable phalanx. There are definitely other artifact mods that you want to use in this build, but they all augment amplified or bolt charge in some way and aren't directly tied to class ability regeneration or anything like that, so we'll check those other ones out in a minute. Besides the artifact, you also have a few ways to get some extra bolt charge from your subclass subclass fragments, but most of them are straight up absolutely useless. I'm not even going to waste my time talking about fragments for building bolt charge because they're so bad, and even worse when you put them up against Storm's Keep. Titans just do it better. Rally Barricade and Storm's Keep is such an easy way to build up bolt charge. The only fragment that matters is Spark of Frequency. Spark of Frequency retained the boost to reload speed after getting a melee hit, but it also increases bolt charge gains from all sources. I am getting a little ahead of myself with damage, but for the rest of my subclass, I really just prefer to run Storm Grenades with Touch of Thunder, and Spark of Magnitude and Shock. All of those are going to juice up our Storm Grenade, granting more damage, duration, and also applies Jolt. For your last fragment, Spark of Beacons is not a bad idea considering our special weapon is Arc, and if you run an Arc Heavy as well, you'll be able to easily apply blinding with 2 of your 3 weapons after kills. If there's something else you want to slot on there, absolutely go for it. Now, we still haven't talked about my absolutely heinous choice of exotic. There are some exotics in Destiny that I just want to believe in so bad, the Blight Rangers of this world. No matter how much they get buffed though, they're still just trash. But today I'm choosing to believe in Arbor Warden, and before you click off, just hear me out, hang on. And if you still won't have it, I do have a substitute option in a minute here, as well as in the damage portion of the video. So if you're not a big fan of Arbor Warden, just hang on. There's one big reason I think Arbor Warden is really nice. It keeps your barricade regeneration in a perpetual loop. By popping the Baronade, you can throw that grenade anytime to deploy your Storm's Keep barricade, which yes, Bungie did add that functionality. Literally the day before these patch notes dropped, I tried it and I was so bummed it didn't work with Storm's Keep, and then the next day, well, there it was. So yeah, of course you can activate your barricade, and then after that you're able to throw it. But of course, while you're holding on to your barricade charge, your next one is recharging. So it's almost like having 2 barricade charges, but you just got to time it up right, because if your barricade fully restores by the time you throw your Baronade, it's going to override it. So you kind of have to time it up right a little bit. It's not hard to do, but if you do it right, you'll literally always have a barricade that can be deployed faster and remotely. I found this helpful in lots of places, like Grandmasters, where I have to go pick up a revive. I can just pre-place a barricade on, or at least near the revive if I make a terrible throw. And it's also nice doing activities like Final Boss of Vesper when you're setting up shop somewhere for DPS. It just saves a little bit of time, and it's something you can have ready to go whenever you need it. I know some of you aren't really buying this right now, but it really can be quite nice. At least give it a try. Now, if you want to try something a little more straightforward, you could do Titan's Ramparts, which would let you fully sit behind a full barricade and shoot through it while still building bolt charge. You won't get the benefits of Rally Barricade, which are numerous, but you will be protected, and Bungie walked back the PvE nerfs that Titan's Rampart has received over the years. There's actually no detriment to your barricade to using these in PvE now. Now, before we move on to damage, the last and most apparent option for building bolt charge is Rolling Storm, a new weapon perk as of Heresy that grants bolt charge for final blows. 2 stacks if you have none, 4 if you're enhanced and amplified, and then 1 for every kill after that, or 2 if you're amplified. There's a little bit going on there with the numbers, but it's easy to work with. Just getting kills is going to be building up bolt charge. It's a really solid trait, and one of the few that actually makes a substantial difference when you enhance it, so that's pretty great too. It's really straightforward, and it's present on a few weapons this season, like the Arc Machine Gun from the Nether, the Unworthy Scout Rifle from Sundered Doctrine, and of course, Psychopomp from our build today, which leads right into the damage portion of this video. The damage output of this build is very much tied to generating bolt charge, not just because the weapons I've picked output lots of damage on their own. Bolt charge is also built by sustained weapon damage, and it doesn't have to be arc damage either. As long as you're dealing damage when you already have at least 1 stack of bolt charge, you can deal damage with any weapon and it'll start building bolt charge, which is exactly why for this build I'm opting to use Malfeasance, one of the highest damage primary weapons you can use. But it's not just the raw damage itself that builds bolt charge, it's almost like damage instances, creating lots of damage ticks. That's the exact reason, or at least part of why Le Monarch is so popular, because the poisonous detonations spread damage to numerous targets, and that contributes to building bolt charge very quickly. But Monarch isn't really going to be my first pick for efficient damage to a single target, which is something you really need in Grandmasters. Malfeasance really excels in that area, with built-in Vorpal weapon granting an additional 20% damage to targets like champs, in addition to the exploding taken rounds. And that right there is what makes Malfeasance special for this build. Massive damage for a primary, and it creates many instances of damage that contribute to super regen regen, but even more importantly, bolt charge. Every 5 shots landed on a target will cause those 5 shots to explode, dealing a bunch of damage, and when you combine that with standing behind a rally barricade, you'll be passively stacking bolt charge and also stacking it very actively with Malfeasance, and the result is a disgusting amount of damage and bolt charges every couple seconds. While other weapons like Monarch might do a better job of building bolt charge a little more quickly, I believe with Malfeasance you keep most of that utility on top of excellent damage. This combination absolutely shreds champions, and Malfeasance is intrinsically unstoppable as well, which is great since the anti-champ options this season aren't really the best for primaries. On top of all this craziness, you can stack a little extra damage with the artifact mod by slotting flashover, which amplifies you on maximum bolt charge and also increases the damage of the lightning strikes. Just an easy no-brainer pick here. Now, I wrote part of this in Act 1, but in Act 2 we're also getting a mod that boosts your super damage if you cast it while low on health, or if you have a subclass verb that corresponds with that super type. So with that mod and flashover, which grants amplified super easily, that's just free extra super damage. For Thunder Crashing Titans, that's absolutely perfect. Lastly, but maybe just as important as our choice of exotic, is our special weapon, Psychopomp. Psychopomp is an area denial frame arc grenade launcher, which makes it perfect for this build. Great for ad clear and not too bad for single target damage in combination with a trusty primary and bolt charge. Area denial frames are perfect for standing behind a Storm's Keep barricade and unleashing bolt charge because they deal damage over time, of course. Those damage ticks also contribute to building up bolt charge. So what I like to do is stun a champ, fire off a round with Psychopomp, and then switch to Malfeasance and chunk them down. Malfeasance and a barricade already build bolt charge very quickly, and if you add Psychopomp's damage over time, it just reaches ridiculous levels. I won't waste your time with all different kinds of rolls, so here's the quick look at it. Runneth Over from a shiny variant is the most important roll that you can get, allowing you to overfill the magazine when reloading near allies. It's absolutely busted. That's the big one. Allowing for 2, potentially 3 shots if you have Ambitious Assassin per reload is really good. After that, I would go with Rolling Storm so you can start building bolt charge even without a barricade. It's very good across whatever activity in the game you're playing. It's probably better for dungeons with higher density of trash adds, but it'll still be helpful in raids and Grandmasters. Then, like I mentioned, you got Ambitious in the first column for overflowing mags after getting kills, or Eddy Current for fast reloads. You can't really go wrong with any of these. If you're incorporating it into a DPS rotation with Queen Breakers maybe, then Envious Arsenal is going to be the way to go. Whatever the case, Psychopomp and Malfeasance with this build, casting barricades and building bolt charge non-stop is going to absolutely cook, especially in taking strikes with the bonus damage from Malfeasance. You're going to be raining bolt charge, just wrecking a house. I mean, seriously, this one additional mechanic in bolt charge has completely changed the feel of Grandmasters. Just find one guy with a Titan barricade and champs become an absolute joke. Now, I did want to discuss some heavy options quick. This is one of those builds that deals such proficient damage with your other weapons that your choice of heavy can be very flexible. Since ammo isn't an issue with Malfeasance, you can use it for boss damage without a problem, and it leaves your heavy open to whatever you want. Personally, I like machine guns to deal with adds and tougher targets without having to sit behind a barricade. Watchful Eye with Rolling Storm is pretty great behind a barricade as well though. You got the barricade and Rolling Storm building up charge, and just dealing damage is building up charge. I mean, you're getting bolt charge very quickly if you're slaying out behind a barricade. It is also overload machine gun this season, so that's going to help you cover champs as well. If you want a debuff on enemies from particle reconstruction, then maybe running a linear fusion is going to be the way to go. It's really up to you, whatever you prefer and whatever the activity demands really. But that's kind of the nice thing about this build. I think it's flexible enough to use across various activities in the game. Last thing, I mentioned a substitute exotic if you don't want to use Arbor Warden for the build. Falling Star is a great pick here, probably no surprise there, but it's just going to let you insta-nuke champs and deal massive chunk damage to bosses quickly. It's tried and true, maybe not the most nuanced option, but it's undeniably effective. You can still use this build and get a lot out of bolt charge while also using Falling Star to amp up your super damage. I don't want to drag out this video too long. Hopefully I didn't forget anything, but I think that'll do it for today. I'll post a dim link in the description as well as the comments so you can access the build quickly. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. It's pretty familiar territory, but with a little twist that I think really makes a big difference. If you enjoyed today's video and want to support the channel, leaving a like and subscribing is the best way to do it. I really appreciate it. Follow over on Twitch as well, where you can catch me live on the weekends. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys next time.